Thank you, Lynn. It's already recording. It's a little early, but I'm gonna go pull it up in my room too, or my office, so that I can monitor the people coming in. It looks like we've got that.
You're a musician.
So me let them all in. I actually love that they're all sitting here.
There's no reason.
Okay. So I don't think I have to.
They go through about 8 lessons that we have to help, teach other students.
So really, you're involved in how to teach them how to teach everything besides how they.
Right.
And which is also important. We want them
Just
to-
to see you again. Sorry. Trust me. I like it cold too.
As I stay in the water every night, every morning, high school.
Doing a sound check, test 1, 2, 3. If somebody that's online can let me know that they hear us.
I can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, you are good to go.
What locations? do you provide?
It's a dialogue. So, two little shows in the morning. Used to do all this job pandemic. Now the school's back in session. I was no. I think it was only moonshine. I believe it very few shows. Yeah, everything stopped because we would always have this a tour to come here. Seconds back. But that all stopped. And now, although they are general schools. So it's been really good to just. Everybody's
small, medium, large.
See the book shows, check the book. No more good shows, you just do this.
Okay.
Actually, that sounds very. It's really good. Some of the all right. Maybe twice a week. You have to set up the whole day of the theater, at least 6-hour call. These big shows. Then the next day you show maybe twice, non-stop, tear down for 3 hours and get out. And maybe go another full day. I did so much of that. Now I can write about every single. This one's went out. Yeah, I went on. Yes. Musician. So what is yours?
I'm sorry.
No, yeah, actually,
Hi. Kathy Collins.
Mag Heinstead.
Me too.
You. Fantastic.
Good to see you again.
Nice to meet you, Mercedes from Black City.
Love your shirt.
I love all the QR codes.
There
Yeah.
You have this money.
Oh, sure. Very cool. That's why.
I know, it's amazing.
Well, actually.
I didn't do a fancy.
Oh, I do. But my hair is actually curly, and so it don't work with the. We have to get color off, but I've been actually growing my hair out. It was really short.
I remember it.
Yeah. And so my hair stylist is great. She's like, we should change that. Here's the plan.
For summer.
Well, I, I'm an Indian and I've been totally cheating. Well, thank you. It's weird how I haven't had short hair for, like, little short hair for a long time. Oh, okay. And I can't wear my hair much half my shoulder. It's just hair. But I do have to blow dry it every day. But it's still fine.
How many it's sort of connecting us, so we're on the value of being some other people are, okay, I had a heck of a time getting in this whole thing, but never since it was correct. By the native population.
That's why.
Oh, okay, nice to meet you. You can sign in over here for us.
I don't do.
It's okay, neither do I. So.
I don't know.
I introduced myself there. Of course, I don't know what you work in. Always works for me. Yeah, no, not hard. No, that's not it. Right. Maybe not right, yeah.
Exactly. That, those are different things. Yeah, especially. Yeah, I'm trying to, like, I switch over to something where, it's simply, if you have money that's sitting there, doing it. They got paid. Exactly, and I said, you're the one, I'm also. What did you? It's all coming.
I think I'm like.
Yeah, so that was that. Hey there, how are you? Very good. I like having fun, you know, that's our second live meeting.
I know, but I have more timer ready to go.
I know. It's like, hey, it feels like I'm going to an agent. What's going on? Take the sheet from you.
Good morning, everyone who's joining virtually, as well as those of you joining in the room. I'd like to welcome you to the Arts Council September 5th quarterly meeting. We will first call to order an establishment of a forum.
We have a pool.
And I understand we also have some members of the public that would like to make comments, so I would like to recognize
John Soper,
Soler.
Soleil. Okay.
Soler.
Stand up, just, and you have 3 minutes. Eileen will be timing you, and we're delighted you could come today. So please tell us a little bit about why you're
Yeah,
here.
we're excited to share a little bit about Instruments for Life, and I see a couple of our awesome partners with the City of Tampa. We provide free music programming and instruments to the deserving in Tampa Bay around. For this one, and specifically with this grant, one of our partners in Moore Elementary has lost their funding, which of course is happening a lot. So this would help provide those students, get the music. Our kids have earned their own instruments by becoming musical mentors to their own peers. We definitely use it more as an outlet in teaching feelings. So it's not so much about teaching music, but more about teaching feelings so that kids, of course, have something to go home. And that's why we want them to be able to earn their instruments so they can continue to create their art and express themselves. On our team, we have children's psychologists and music therapists and professional educators. So they help train our teachers, and we get to go in and observe certain behaviors and know how to better help them. Teaching their kids as well. Our kids also get to showcase their talent by providing a musical showcase. Sometimes they get to write and record their own songs also, which is super awesome to see. And just super thankful to provide a little input for y'all. I don't know if there's any questions or anything, but thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your coming today. And the next public comment will be from longtime Arts Council grantee Jerry Bickles from Bits and Pieces Puppets.
Thank you all. I'm not so much here to talk about the grant. I think it talks for itself, but I just wanted to tell you I was very excited to come to a meeting all in person again and not virtually. I see this as, it used to be a great way to meet my contemporaries while this whole event goes on. It's the other way that these meetings always help. You see each other live, face to face, you can kind of stand up for each other. You know what that is. So thank you all very much for today, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ted, you didn't have a chance to sign in. Did you want to make a public comment?
I'd be happy to. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning. My name is Tad Denham. I'm with the Gasparilla Music Foundation, and I run our Recycle Foods program. You may be familiar with the Gasparilla Music Festival. We've been around for a dozen years, and for the last 10 years, we've had a Recycle Foods program, and we work primarily with elementary Title I schools, work with teachers, and put instruments into the hands of teachers, and try to either buy new instruments, fix broken instruments, or we do instrument drives and collect instruments from the community to support the students. One thing this year that we've done is we've expanded our program. When I started this position about 1.5 years ago, I realized that a lot of instruments we get are band instruments, trumpets, clarinets, saxophones that are not as appropriate for elementary school. So beginning this year, we started working with middle schools. We focus on Title I middle schools, and starting now, raise awareness with them for what we do, and find the needs and put instruments in. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your consideration for our grant.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming and sharing with us. The board loves hearing from people in the field and what they're doing from our grantees. So thank you very much. I believe, have we missed anyone for public comment? Okay, that's it.
All right. So the next item of agenda is approval of the June 6th board meeting minutes. Second. So moved.
Who's it? Wait a second. Oh. Okay.
we'll be discussing and sharing the Scoring Arts Council grants, 2023-24 for the cultural development grants, the 2023-24 community arts impact grants, and the 23-24 professional development artist grants.
So as we start this process, we do something called reading from the record, to kind of let people know how this process works. The members of the Arts Council Advisory Board serve as grant reviewers for all Arts Council grants. Arts Council Board members were asked to identify any conflicts of interest with any applicant in advance of scoring. If a conflict of interest was determined, the member recused themselves from scoring that particular application. Board members then reviewed all other applications and submitted their individual scores. Staff averaged all reviewer scores to determine a final score for each organization. Once all average scores are announced, the Arts Council Board will vote to approve the scores. However, grant awards are contingent upon approval by the Board of County Commissioners. Grant amounts and agreements must be voted on by the Board of County Commissioners. We ask that applicants in attendance, either in person or virtually, please observe quietly during the discussion and not interrupt the proceedings. Any questions regarding scoring or other aspects of this process should be asked of Arts Council staff after conclusion of the meeting. And thank you to all the applicants who are attending. We will begin the scoring of the cultural development grants. This grant, a total of 100 points is possible, with a minimum of 80 required to be eligible for funding. However, a score of 80 or higher does not guarantee funding. Average scores will be announced in alphabetical order by name of organization. Bits and Pieces Puppet Theater, 87.22. Brandon Ballet Inc., 89.56. Carrollwood Players, 90. Choral Masterworks Festival, 93.25. Florida Museum of Photographic Arts, 91.75. Florida West Coast Public Broadcasting, WEBU PBS, 97.38. Florida Wind Band, 85.75. Friends of the Festival Inc., 90.88. Job Site Theater, 96. Power Stories Theater of Tampa Bay, 94. Rudrum Dance, 92.25. Stageworks Theater, 95.25. Sun State Orchestral Program, 79.29. Tampa Bay Businesses for Culture and the Arts, 88. Tampa City Ballet Incorporated, 94. Tampa Metropolitan Youth Orchestra, 97.71. Tampa Repertory Theater, 92.38. Tampa Theater, 96.88. Tempest Projects, 92.63. The Gay Men's Chorus of Tampa Bay, 92.50. The Tampa Oratorio Singers Incorporated, 89.86. Think Tank Theater, 92.38. Ybor City Museum Society, 84.86.
So, before we take a final motion, were there anything that the board members wanted to comment on related to the scoring?
I would, and I would like to emphasize that, all of these are worthwhile, wonderful organizations that have a long history of being successful. I think the only thing that I would like them all to be very much aware is that when you make a mistake in your financials, or you make a mistake in your narrative, and that it doesn't meet up with your other narrative, that takes points away. And I think that was probably the majority of their scoring is usually because of those reasons. One, the other one would be working on diversity. Diversity is a very big concern in inclusion. And I think every one of these organizations certainly is inclusive. But as we all have challenges when it comes to diversity on the board and on boards, and we're all working for that, not only organizations, but it does affect.
And I was gonna just echo those comments from Georgia. And the other thing I wanted to do two parts was to recognize both those that are attending virtually and council members, as well as those here in the room that I greatly appreciate. This was all of the applications for this one as well as the other one. There was a large variety of work to review. I'm grateful that you've taken the time and diligence to apply your expertise in considering those things in their full manner with specificity and where you put comments to help guide future applications so they could better improve. I certainly could see from some of the past instances how specific others that maybe didn't score as well. So there's been some growth there, and I think that's also evident in the work the Arts Council does. Sometimes we're working with them to through activities and events to help them get better at grant writing. I certainly want all of these organizations to understand there is true value in the work that they are doing. It is important and paramount that you all understand that we recognize the value and that you continue to make others in the community see your value through the art that you do to bring people together. Currently, right now, I had the opportunity, I don't know if folks had seen the video or if it's recorded, that you're able to still see online from a couple of weeks ago, the scoring that happened with the cultural assets commission component. And I was looking at what the criteria or qualifications are for that often is a little more loose than actually what we're applying here. And it was interesting to see that unfold versus where we are today. So it's unfortunate that that's the lay of the land, but I greatly appreciate all the artistic activities that happen in the community. And I was able to learn more about things that I didn't even know were out there. So I appreciate all the work that you all are doing out there to continue to strive for diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion. It's sorely needed. And it, regardless of the intentions, that will be continuing to propel people forward and move our society in positive directions. Unfortunately, there are those that believe that that is not necessary.
I would like to reinforce thanks to all the Arts Council board members. Never has the board been asked to review all the grants at the same time, but the factor of moving into the new grant system, which I hope you all found very good to work with, because we're very pleased with the neighborly system. But this was above and beyond the call of duty this year. We know that. And one agenda item we'll be dealing with later on is next year's calendar, and they're all staggered again. So we won't be doing this in the future.
So may I have a motion to approve as they are, if there are no other comments, the scores that Martine has read for the Cultural Development Grant Program?
So I'll check that.
Motion carries.
Is that unanimous?
Yeah, yes, the second was for Joe.
Okay. Well, we got to vote.
Oh, that's sorry. We would like to vote on the approval to take these scores to the Board of County Commissioners. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries.
Perfect.
Next, we will undertake the scoring of the community arts impact grants. A total of 100 points if possible, with a minimum of 75 required to be eligible for funding. However, a score of 75 or higher does not guarantee funding. Average scores will be announced in alphabetical order by name of organization. Center Place Fine Arts and Civic Association, average score 83.88. Contemporary Art Music Project, Inc., average score 85.25. Firehouse Cultural Center, average score 91.43. Gasparilla Music Foundation, Inc., average score 94. Heard 'em Say Youth Arts Collective, Inc., 92.63. Hillsborough Community College, 94.38. Historic Plant City Main Street Incorporated, 83.88. Instruments for Life, 96.71. Philippine Cultural Foundation, 83.38. Project Return Florida, 86.88. Shruti Foundation, 91.86. Tampa Realistic Artists, Inc., 94.63. University of South Florida, 97.71. University of Tampa, 93.13. Winthrop Arts, Inc., 79.86.
Were there any comments related to these particular scores? Okay. Seeing no comments, I'd like to have a motion specifically to take these scores to the Board of County Commissioners for final approval. Megan made the motion and a second.
Meg.
And can we have a vote? All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries.
Finally, we'll undertake the scoring of professional development for artist grants. A total of 100 points is possible, with a minimum of 70 required to be eligible for funding. However, a score of 70 or higher does not guarantee funding. Average scores will be announced in alphabetical order by name of applicant. Grant awards are for full funding of the amount requested, beginning with the top scoring applicant until available program funds are depleted. Mark Breckwald, average score 94.63. Peter Catranio, average score 84.38. Jesse Dorsey, average score 84. Megan Euchre, average score 93.25. Susan Gott, average score 96.38. Samson Hung, average score 89.88. Brian Panetta, average score 80.25. Carlos Pons, average score 89.25. Amelia Sargent, average score 89.75. Patricia Schamberger, average score 88. Primus Tillman, average score 82.
And with those particular scores, was there anything that any members wanted to discuss or comment on?
Please make sure when you apply for a grant that your narrative lines up with your budget and then it's not, that what you say in the beginning of your application is carried through with the other question. Because when you find issues where there is not the same, or it doesn't line up, then you don't lose points. The only comment, please reread your application. And don't wait till the last minute. I think that's exactly the reason why some of these. Here.
Yeah, I know.
I've been reading applications from New York to Florida, state of Florida, and for the Arts Council for a number of years. And that's the big thing. Reread your application after you think you're finished before you even submit. So just that's a lot of things to learn.
Any other comments?
I would also say, make sure you answer every part, every question of every section, and use the character max to your advantage.
Yeah, sometimes there were ones that were relatively short. And others were very lengthy, but they still never answered what that particular question or prompt was. So I found that I was more moved often by the work samples on either the person's website or specifically their selections of what they were trying to call attention to. I think the other thing that's helpful sometimes in the individual artist is always to make sure too that you're checking their links. They bring up something relevant or valid. Sometimes I go to the website to try to find some more material that helps better guide whether this is something that, really deep in something right there. So with that, I would like to have a motion to take these particular scores to the Board of County Commissioners. In a second.
Okay.
Anybody? I think it was done. I saw Megan. You did? But Megan second. Okay.
Got it.
And so may I have a vote to take these? All those, any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. And the next order of business, approval of the grant scores, which we already took care of as we went through each individual one. So now we're on board meeting dates and grant making calendar for 2023-24.
So we put this in your packet. Again, we're going back thankfully to staggered schedule. And we try to also make sure that we give, even with the staggered schedule, plenty of time for reviewing the grants. We put a lot of thought into this, and we were going to stay with the first Tuesday every other quarter. That seemed to work well. It works well doing it at the Entrepreneur Collaborative Center. We're very grateful for their partnership. So this is what the staff put together, and we would love it if we could approve it today, so we can make sure we get it up there. Everyone gets informed of the dates.
So let me put forth a
I'm
question.
sorry, did you read out the dates of most of them? I don't have it in the docket. Please read out those dates.
It's not in.
It's not in what I had. It was in your packet, just the
Oh, in the
scores and the agenda. Your pass it down. It's pretty, well, I'm not good. So it's almost exactly, the board meeting schedule is pretty much what we did this year. December, March, June, and September, the first Tuesday, but we also have the grant making schedule so timed out so that we have time to approve these in quarterly meetings and stagger throughout the year. So not much difference from what we did this year, and it seemed to work well. We had a quorum every meeting this year, so it's kind of like it isn't broke.
So if those dates work,
If we would like to, you don't really need to vote to approve it. We just need to know so that we can post it. If anybody would like to get back to us, say this week, and let us know if they that we need to reschedule or anything, if someone has, but it is very similar to what we did. So we just are very eager to get it up so that we have it on the website so people know the deadlines of which grant to apply for.
so then we're on to, we've got a couple of board members transitioning, board transitions.
We do, and by the way, our application to be a member of the Arts Council Board was posted a few weeks ago. It is due back next Thursday, not this Thursday, next Thursday. We are very sad to be saying goodbye to Andra and to Megan and to Santiago, who isn't here today. They're actually, you will be getting a certificate of appreciation, but due to Labor Day holiday, I wasn't able to have it to bring to you today, but you all, you've been fabulous board members. We do have a 3-year term limit for our current ordinance, but after a year, we can reapply. So we always welcome you back, but we are looking to have some really good candidates. So if anybody knows anyone that they think would be interested, we still have about another week. So contact me. I'll send you the link to the application, which is on the county website. If you would like to.
Just curious, can you tell how many applicants you've reviewed?
So unlike when the Arts Council was separate, they don't come to me. They come to the man Finley and the county business her job, and when the deadline comes, then she sends all at once. So we don't get to preview them till the deadline.
No, I was just wondering if there's, is there 3, is there 50, like, are you getting sort of, do you know, just a number, you know?
I'm not informed of that until I get what people apply for, and then so
Are we able to act? Just as a, just
I
curious.
don't think so, because until they don't want to give you a number until the deadline. I'm just,
Okay.
it's,
Just from in the corporate space, it's generally helpful to know, are you getting interest or none? Or and of the interest that you're getting, if Luann or whomever is scanning or taking a look at them, does it seem to meet the goal or desire, or is it going to be something, rather than waiting until next Thursday to have to extend because realistically you don't have a good pool to consider?
they, what they are doing is they will be checking the voting registration, because they will be checking the eligibility of the people that apply, but we don't know that by the end of the process. But I wouldn't be too worried. It's kind of like when we're waiting for the grants to come in, and here's the deadline, and how many applications do we have? And staff will bear witness to this. They all come in at the last minute. Even though you said that, Georgia. So I think we can't judge until we get to the deadline what the interest has been. But it's typically quite a lot of interest. It's not just our position. It's about 10 other county board positions. So they're managing all of that. So they don't really want to talk to us until the process is done. And then they let each department know and send them the applications. But there's still time, and until, so a little bit more than a week, if there's anybody that wants to apply.
Okay.
And I'll just say, speaking of the county, I know Luann handles like, there's more than like 50 or 60 boards, and they're like, they go through them very methodically, like she's like super, it's a volume that's really, really great. So I understand what your concern would be, but I was thinking the same thing that you just said when I heard that, because I think with all these, a lot of these positions, it's very, people, wait, a lot of them until the last minute. Sometimes they might have a problem entering it or something like that, you know, but, on the board, we might get something that we have positions open for, and literally like no one applies. And so, or maybe just one person, and so we move to re-advertise, and, you know, try to maybe do some more work about, you know, getting the word out there, but
That was, yeah.
yeah, I understand totally where you're coming from. I think my guess would be that Luann would have difficulty with it, but I don't know, you know, you might ask, but I would, I think it's just, it seems to be very human behavior. So-
Historically, the Arts Council gets a lot of that.
And then, requests for staff report.
So I put something in your packet. I wanted you all to be aware that at the August 16th Board of County Commission meeting, Commissioner Cameron Sapita requested a report to be delivered by the Arts Council at September 7th regular meeting, which is this Thursday, on the total amount of county funding provided to the Arts Council and the Cultural Assets Program the last 5 years, and also wanting to know if there is anything keeping the board from reallocating funding currently budgeted for the Arts Council and Cultural Asset Program, so the board could instead put these dollars to shortfalls in the county's basic services like transportation and public safety. So we are on the agenda to deliver this report at 10:15 on Thursday. Our state grant was originally on the consent agenda. That was pulled from the consent agenda. They did not want to approve the state grant until after this, the report is given. So both of these things will be happening Thursday morning. And we just wanted to be aware and advised of that. So I also did a similar memorandum to the cultural assets.
So I had a couple questions. What did the report that the staff provided? So what was the report, or what did it recommend?
It's basically last 5 years, how much funding received, what's been granted, who the grant, you know, the number of grantees per year, and this is for Arts Council grants that you all did, and also cultural assets, right, which Mercedes has the fortune to do all of them, which I'm sure you're very envious of, because she serves on that commission as well. And just some basic financial information. We are covering the fact that we are not, that we do get other funding from sources like the state grant, which is about $67,000 this year. We also get funding from specialty license plates. So every time someone buys an arts license plate, we get a percentage of that, and that runs usually around $20,000 or $25,000 a year. So we do bring in some funding from other than what's provided by the county. It's interesting, the figure that really stood out to me, I'm sort of glad and enjoying the report, is that of all the county departments, 56. We are 56 out of 56 in terms of the amount of budget. So we have a very, very small impact on the county funding. But so it's we're doing it as PowerPoint, and it's that's Thursday.
The other question I had was, is that in your research, is there something specific that prevents or language that makes it, you know, an impermissible function to take it from one thing to appropriate to another, or is that what did you not find it?
We didn't go into that. Commissioner, could you?
Wow, I wish. No, I don't think there's anything miracle like that. I mean, I'll be in there Thursday and do everything I can. to protect the arts, and I hope that, you know, it goes nowhere. We need 4 out of 7 commissioners to continue to support the arts, and I mean, you know, it's such de minimis and compared to, you know, they keep saying, well, we need more money for roads. And I mean, I go around to groups because I talk transit and transportation all the time, like all the committees I'm on and everything. And because I'm trying to always defend the transit laws. And I say to people things like, this was actually paid for by the federal government, but it's not unusual. Like the lithium Pinecrest or Van Dyke that we're always talking about, lithium Pinecrest in Brandon or Van Dyke up to the north, for a mile of road now, 1 mile of road widening 1 mile is costing $100 million. And I'll say to groups, you know, the connector of the I-4 to the Leroy Stellman over here, it's 1 mile long. It was completed in 2014. And I'll say to them, how much do you think that cost? 1 mile of that roadway? Anybody want to take a guess?
Well, I'll say, what, 5 million?
600 million. 600 million. So you're brave. So it's okay. I had no idea, but when I calculated that out, you know, and vis-a-vis transit and HART, it would have paid the entire HART system. Our tax dollars that go into the HART system, it would have paid for the entire HART system for 18 years. That's not to say that we shouldn't do that, but I'm just letting people, giving them some perspective and the outstanding needs that we have. Like, this is a drop in the bucket. And I'll just say, it's crazy. I'll just say one other thing in terms of your impermissible budget. There's, and I'll just give you the shortest information on this, but there's 2 budgets that the county has. That when other commissioners, they try to say the general fund or the general budget. And I go, there's 2 general funds in the county commission that we designate. One's called the countywide fund. One's the unincorporated county fund. We have unincorporated county here, which is other than the cities of Tampa, Temple Terrace, and Plant City, which are cities on their own and collect taxes. We have 1 billion people in unincorporated county. It's like the largest unincorporated area practically of any place in the nation. We're like a super outlier. So the county commission de facto access almost like a city council for 1 million people in you know, unincorporated county. So unincorporated county has their own budget. That's just like the city of Temple Terrace or Plant City or, you know, Tampa. And they pay for their own roads, of which Lithia, Pinecrest, and Van Dyke, whatever. And they charge a very low millage there. Then you have another budget, it's called the countywide budget. And that's what all the cities and the county contribute to. The countywide budget, because they all make it, and because the millage is 5.7 mils. Whereas the unincorporated budget or the city budget are unincorporated, it's 4.3 mils. Most city budgets are like 6.2 mils or something. But there's this like practically the highest millage, and everybody pays it. But it's designated to go to certain things because we all pay it. Can't take money from the countywide budget that we all pay, I mean, the cities and everybody, and take it and build roads in unincorporated county. You're not allowed to do that. That is impermissible. And the countywide budget is designated by law, by state law, for every county to be for constitutional officers, the clerk of courts, for instance, supervisor of elections, tax collector, whatever, and for the courts, and for the prisons, and jails, and medical examiner and animal rescue, but also economic development, and social services. That's kind of like pretty much, and it does it for everybody in the county. You can do transit in that, you can do affordable housing, but it has to be a benefit to everyone in the county. this money is part of that countywide budget. So you can't just take this money and go, oh, even though it's so little, it doesn't pay for anything, but you can't just take this and say, okay, we're gonna use this to build Van Dyke. We're gonna use this to build the missing fire stations in unincorporated county. That's the propaganda that goes here, just so you know, it's not that. There's very limited circumstances where that can be done, but the countywide fund is what pays for all the art things and all the performance things and any money going to like the straws or anything else comes out of this countywide bucket that we all create, and which is a specific designation. So I'd just like to have people understand that bit.
That's, to me, that's extremely helpful, because I wasn't aware of that, but that gives a great context around, this request. And what I think is really interesting is the benefit seems so large to me from the art institutions that are from the variety of things that these art institutions do for the county at large, that everybody's putting into it. And the strange component is what I did notice through almost all of these applications, not sure whether that's the same situation on the cultural assets applications. However, private corporations are actually doing the least. So they're reporting enormous benefits and increased profits. And almost on every application, they are not donating. So to say that the corporates are stepping up is not true. To say that the funding of arts for everybody and the benefits should fall to private citizens to do it themselves is a fallacy. We, if we're all in the pot, should be able to expect that there is access for arts in everybody. And I would be outraged to see something that creates so little be appropriated, even in the aspect of there isn't a particular funding mechanism to prohibit it. Because if you look at it from the large picture, it is really a poor choice in leadership to say from the 56th budget, which clearly in economic terms means that's greatest to the least. You think that the best use is to take from the least already to put $226,000 of pittance into something else. So personally, I feel personally as a citizen aggrieved that after spending my time looking at how much diversity, inclusion, and accessibility is in these applications and the amount of work that those folks do on so little, that we have a body that says the better use of my dollars is to go and fritter it on something such as that. So I would hope that other people that are watching visually get motivated the way I lost sleep and got motivated over something that was so egregious.
At what time does it, the actual meeting opens at 9, is that correct?
Yeah, so if you want to speak,
Which I think that you should, and I definitely want.
and if you want to speak in person, you have to come before 9 to sign in. And you can sign in and speak virtually online. They won't show your face, but you can, call in. Each person has 3 minutes unless more people show up than use the time. We might, limit it to 2 minutes or something, but that is like extremely unusual if that happens. So I speak for 3 minutes. So you can do that. You can go online as well and just go to Hillsborough County Commissioner search, and it'll say email commissioner. So you just check one box and it emails all 7 of us to say, that you support the arts and whatever you want to say there, however you want to title it. So it goes to all the commissioners. You can write individual commissioners if you want, but it's probably easier just to let everybody say the same thing to everybody and, to get those in there. you can try and call offices. I'm not sure that that's very effective or works, particularly. So, unless you have personal connections with any commissioners, I ultimately hope that we have more commissioners that won't, tolerate the cutting of the arts. It's not as if we give some, I mean, it'd be one thing if we gave extreme amounts or something like that, but this is such a de minimis part of the budget. But I did want to say, it's just, a red herring to say, as they keep saying, we can use this money for infrastructure, we need roads. So I like to point out the cost of roads, but also the restrictions on your budget to explain that to people. And I've done it, I've had to do it at the county commission like 20 times, and there is one person that tries to shut me down. Yeah, I think that they understand it.
Do you think that the chief's going to be receptive to the economic impact, or does he really mean that all things to commissioners?
I think you should definitely say that and say, whatever. I mean, all those arguments are, I think, important and good. It's like amazing how much it leverages. I mean, this room is full of volunteers that are willing to leverage, for the arts in this community and how.
Be aware that the Arts Council and cultural assets, they can't advocate for themselves. We can advocate for the public. So it would be important that we be there.
Well, I registered, I plan to be there. And plan to
Oh, and by the way, so there's two things that happen that kind of surprised me. We have what's called the consent agenda, and usually there are 50 to 75 things on there. They can be big projects, small projects, but they've moved ahead without, and they're just bills we have to pay, updates to systems, whatever. And so what was on the consent agenda was an item that Martine had said, which was, and you'll have to, because I read through it, but I'm just trying to remember right now. So it had the state money. What happens is, I guess you got 66,000 in state money. You want to say it?
What happened was we had budgeted around 60,000 for the state rent. We never know till the governor signs it, and it goes up and down, but we had a budget, and we actually got more than that. We got around 67,000. But this is a matching grant. So what was in the budget for matching funds was not enough to cover the new match. However, the county has a special fund in the reserves just for when this happens with grants, because we're not the only department that gets state grants and you can't predict it. And it's a fund, but because it was, in order to get this 67,000, I think we had to put an additional 2,500 or so into the, that we had to take from the budget to match it. And as a result, it was full. Consent agenda until the report is, it will be on the agenda after.
So it was on the consent agenda, which means it could just be passed by us all. We wouldn't have discussion or anything. It's 50 or 75 items. Somebody just goes, move consent, second, and we take a vote and it's done. This was one of the 50 or 70 items or something. And any commissioner though can pull any one and say, we don't want to do this. It was for $2,500 to match 67,000 state money.
Yes.
And so that was one of the things. We were already going to have this other thing, but that was also pulled, which kind of shocked me, honestly.
So I have a question, and again, you guys are helping educate me,
Yeah.
because what I choose to do then is when I see nonsense, fight it with nonsense. As an individual private citizen, if this is county government and county government is having a challenge to find the $2,500 for matching to get 66 from Governor Ron DeSantis, am I able as a private citizen to write out a check for $2,500 and give it as a donation with the explicit purpose to say, this is to go for that?
I
Or
don't
am I
think you
not
want to
able
do
to do
that.
that?
I don't think you want to do that.
Okay.
I think what you want to do is just go in there and say, this is, this is crazy. We would lose our state money that's been put in there. And we need to not do that. And I just want to point out there's two things going on here, because that was a surprise that just came up. I didn't know that that was going to be on the agenda right now. And, so what happened was this other item was going to be on the agenda about the overall funding. And, Commissioner Cepeda brought it up at the end of the last meeting. And then when this came up on the consent agenda, she pulled that as well. So, I just kind of wanted to make you aware that in case you hear about those two distinctive things. And so because of that, though, the county, because there were two things, and because of the interest in this, it has been, put on the agenda for a time certain of 10:15, correct? So, and time certain is special because if you don't have to wait all day and see when this is going to be discussed. So the way it goes is you sign up and go in and they do proclamations, can be 1, 2, or 3 or 9, or be ever none. And then there's, and then we begin, with, public, comments after that, after that. So that'll be the time, maybe public comment will start around 9:30 or something. And then you do public comment, and then time certain just means that if the, agenda is open at 10:15, it usually is time certain is the second, 10:15 is the second agenda item. There's usually a 10 o'clock time certain too. But basically, it'll be discussed, one of the earliest things on the agenda after public comment as well. So, but you won't be able to talk during that. You have to talk during the public comment prior to the discussion.
Yeah, I had a question and a comment. If the county votes to transfer the money, how much, what dollar?
The entire or it's kind of,
Whatever their motion, whatever this motion would be.
they're talking about taking all of
Okay, what is all
the entire, this is all granting and the overall general operating support is right around 820,000.
Okay, the reason being, I'm on Temple Fair City Council, and we have our meeting tonight. I'm gonna bring this up to see if I get council support to publish this. And I just want to get some numbers.
It also includes the cultural asset commission money that is,
It's
about $3 million all in, which means the arts council budget and the
Cultural assets is 2.1 million.
So we're talking about the one no front.
Yeah, less than 3.
Is that less than 3 or 4?
less than 4. It'd be about $3 million all in.
And then what happens to, let's say the unfortunate event happens, what happens to the staff? What is the part,
They're talking about sunsetting the whole department, so.
Well, did she really say that in the?
She
I
included
think
our operating budget.
What?
She included our operating budget in the number she stated at the meeting, which
Okay.
includes all.
I
of
can,
us.
I know it was rather, but like I say, I hope that we can all be out there, opportunity to support the arts. I hope that we don't have 4 commissioners that will do something so extreme, that we have 4 commissioners that will protect this, and we'll have to see, but or maybe we would have more than that once they understand, but I think it's a time to speak up, and it's certainly a little alarming, came on rather quickly, and then the consent item fully added to my concern greatly, so I just want everyone to understand my posture of it.
Well, I appreciate it, and I apologize if I just,
You're generous of you. You're passionate.
I don't understand, and so for someone who has spent, I have gone for schooling, someone who's been actively involved in the community, has multiple degrees and certifications. It just defies thought processes. And it makes me so angry to say that rather than solving what I call our real problems or challenges, you bully on areas that have the least. And I'm tired of seeing it in so many different avenues, whether that's in the education system, whether it's in any type of social services, about the number of gyration that people have to go through, even from the recertification on whether or not you should receive Medicaid and SNAP. I mean, it's just enough. People are not out there actually looking for handouts. There is just this belief that there's waste that happens at all these levels, and that's really not where the waste is happening. So I just,
You know, I hate to, this is,
yep, that's fine.
this is a little bit just off, but, I'm glad that you said that because it's, it may be perfect in the arts community for people to understand this too. I like people to know, and I'm not sure how to get out there with the information, but, I don't know how many here know that Hillsborough County has its own healthcare program, award-winning, Harvard recognized healthcare program, the Hillsborough Healthcare Plan. Anybody know that? No. Okay. It was started by Phyllis Buzansky many years ago. It is incredible care. I mean, I read about a man who didn't know about it and they thought it would be substandard care or something. And he ended up getting a kidney transplant the next week. No, a heart transplant the next week on it, I think. It was incredible. It's incredibly great care. It's available to any citizen of any resident of Hillsborough County, if you come within the income guidelines. And so a lot of people are getting left off and left out, and they don't understand that we have this incredible healthcare program. And part of it is done to protect our hospitals and things like that. So if you, I think the guidelines, again, go Google the healthcare plan. I've got some, cleaned up my car, I've been carrying around. I'll bring them back in right after the meeting and pass them out if people want them. But if a single person earns 25,000 or less a year, they can go for the program. There's no copays, there's no deductibles, it pays for everything. And I just want to, and it's 2-person family, I think it's under 35,000, 3-person, it's under 45,000. So it keeps going up, and you know, your assets, if you'll have one house or something or one car, I don't think that they impact. I can't tell you whether you would.
That is wonderful for the arts, because I know many theater artists, they don't have health insurance because if they're actually an actor, most of the time the money that they're well below 25.
Right.
They don't have the means to have employer sponsored healthcare, and they still can't afford paying a deductible or premium related to a monthly. And so I've known performers who have they're not, I didn't know about this, but they're foregoing care. They're not going to see care when they were ill.
It's only for residents of Hillsborough County, and I'll bring in the paper after that I have, and I keep needing to find the electronic, but I think we need to get the word out because people do not know they have it. A lot of people have been cut from Medicaid, and they don't even know they're cut. I understand they're getting like 8-page letters and they're not even sure what's happening, and they probably don't even know about this eligibility, but they're eligible for it, and it's excellent care. It's really good by all accounts that I hear. And again, you don't have to co-pay, you pay your go to any of that. And so
yeah, I'd love to get the brochure. So I think we've sort of covered all the other business.
Well, wait, no, I would like to mention at the last board meeting, we have to do an annual report every year to the BOCC, and we were planning on doing it October 18th. Randy Cohen is going to be in town. He is the head of research for Americans for the Arts. We will have the results of our economic impact study. We're still using the results, and it's in our report that we will that's going to the board on Thursday from the report that was released in 2017. But we will have new data, and the Cultural Assets Commission has to do a report to the Board of County Commissioners. Also, they voted at their meeting a week and a half ago to collaborate. So we will be doing a joint report, Board of County Commissioner, about the result of the economic impact and the value of the Arts Council and the Cultural Assets Commission. So this is our plan, and we should have some really good economic impact information about the arts coming very, very soon. So I just wanted to remind everybody.
Can I do a plug, and it kind of fits within culinary arts? I'll make it macarons, and y'all been able to have my macarons. But we have dessert wars this September 23rd at the Florida State Fairgrounds. You can get your tickets online if you just Google dessert wars. There's People's Choice and Judge's Choice, first, second, and third place for both categories. If I place, I move on to nationals in Atlanta. So if you go, please stop by and vote for Megan's macarons, and wish me luck.
But yeah.
Good luck. Thank you so much.
Any other business?
The adding schedule for the street, we're still dealing with the Board of County Commissioners, wonderful roundabout sculptures, some of them are installed, some are still on hold. I will report where we know which ones are officially approved by the Board of County Commissioners.
All right. Seeing no other business, then I will conclude this meeting is adjourned.
Ready on Thursday?